Imagine this. You wake up in a house you've lived in for years, wrapped in sheets that have known every version of you. Yet suddenly, you feel like a stranger in your own life. The air feels heavier. Your coffee tastes the same, but you don't. The mirror shows a face you recognize but don't quite relate to, not because of the lines, but because of the emptiness behind your own eyes. You shuffle into the day doing what you always do, packing lunches, logging into meetings, remembering birthdays, apologizing for being tired. But under it all is a quiet scream. When did I lose myself? It's not one moment. It's 1,000 small ones. The day you stopped asking for what you needed. The week you kept saying, "I'm fine," when you weren't. The year you learned to smile while burning out. And now, in the deep middle of your life, something inside whispers, "This isn't working anymore." Here's the paradox no one talks about. You've survived so much. You've held families together, built careers, navigated heartbreak and hope, and still showed up. And yet, you feel more invisible, more unsure, and more powerless than ever. How can a woman who's done so much now doubt her every thought? How can someone so capable suddenly feel fragile in her own mind? Why does midlife, this season of supposed wisdom, feel like a slow erosion of confidence? They'll tell you it's your hormones. They'll suggest magnesium, yoga, HRT, or a better mattress. And while all of those may help your body, what about your mind? What about the stories looping in your head that say, "You're past your prime. You should have figured it out by now. You're too emotional, too forgetful, too much." Or worse, "You don't matter anymore." The truth is, midlife isn't just a physical transition, it's a psychological reckoning. It's the moment your brain, your beliefs, and your buried needs collide. It's the time when the masks you wore for decades start to crack, and for the first time, you glimpse the woman underneath. The powerlessness you feel isn't weakness. It's your intuition screaming, "There's something deeper going on." And here's the hard part. Powerlessness isn't always loud. It's not falling apart. It's holding it all together while silently questioning if you even matter. It's overthinking every decision. It's watching yourself over-apologize. It's saying yes when your soul says no. It's forgetting what you wanted in the first place. So, here's the great question. What if your power never left? What if it was buried beneath a mindset that was never truly yours? What if the stories you live by, the ones shaped by culture, childhood, patriarchy, perfectionism, and performance, were silently scripting your emotions? What if feeling powerless is not a flaw in you, but a feature of your conditioning? And what would happen if you challenged that conditioning, right now, in midlife, while your brain is most ready to rewire? What would shift if you stopped fixing yourself and started reclaiming yourself? That's what we're going to explore. At Menopause Relief Therapy, we work with women just like you, using menopause-informed psychological support to untangle this powerlessness at its roots. You can find more about that in the video description below. In the next section, we'll uncover the hidden roots of this mental exhaustion, how years of emotional labor, hormonal changes, and invisible roles silently program your beliefs. Because before you can break free, you have to understand what's keeping you stuck. The hidden problem and its psychological roots. You weren't born feeling small. You weren't born doubting yourself, overthinking every word, or carrying the weight of everyone else's needs on your back. That's not who you are. It's who you were taught to become. Somewhere between girlhood and midlife, you learned how to survive by becoming acceptable, quiet, competent, nice, resilient. And in the process, you internalized a dangerous lie. Your worth is based on how well you manage everything for everyone else. This is the hidden problem behind the feeling of midlife powerlessness. It's not just about estrogen dropping or progesterone vanishing. It's about identity conditioning. It's about the unseen emotional scripts that shaped your inner world long before your hormones ever started shifting. These scripts are deeply embedded. They sound like, "Don't make a fuss. If you rest, you're lazy. Be grateful, don't complain. They need you more than you need yourself." And here's the trap. They worked for a while. You got praised for being dependable. You got promoted for being tireless. You got liked for being agreeable. But now your nervous system is exhausted. Your brain, already juggling hormonal fluctuations, is wired for hypervigilance, constantly scanning for how to fix, please, perform, or prevent conflict. This chronic overfunctioning becomes your normal, until one day it breaks you. Not with a bang, but with a slow drip. Decision fatigue, mental fog, emotional shutdown, a gnawing sense that you've disappeared in your own life. This isn't just anecdotal, it's neurological. According to Dr. Luann Brizendine, the female brain undergoes significant rewiring during midlife, especially as estrogen, which plays a key role in emotional regulation, declines. But here's the good news. This rewiring is an opportunity, not a breakdown. This is where neuroplasticity comes in. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change and rewire itself in response to new beliefs, behaviors, and experiences. And midlife, despite its challenges, is one of the most potent times to use it intentionally. But first, you have to confront the subconscious beliefs that are running the show. As Marisa Peer teaches, the mind responds to the words and images you feed it. If your inner language is soaked in powerlessness, "I can't handle this, I'm too much, it's just my hormones," then your nervous system will live in compliance with those beliefs. Similarly, Brené Brown reminds us that shame thrives in silence. When women feel they're not coping, when they're emotionally messy, when they can't push through, they often retreat into shame. They don't talk about the internal chaos, they hide it, and this silence becomes a prison. Midlife brings those buried beliefs and emotions to the surface. It forces a reckoning. Suddenly, the strategies that kept you functioning for decades no longer work. You can't fake calm, hustle through fatigue, or override your intuition anymore. Your body won't let you. Your mind is screaming for truth. And here's the radical idea. What if this isn't failure? What if it's freedom knocking? This is the very kind of transition we explore at Menopause Relief Therapy. The tools we use, like CBT, emotional rewiring, and menopause-informed counseling, are designed to help women not just cope, but transform. You'll find more details in the video description below. You're not broken, you're awakening. And yes, hormones affect mood and cognition, but they are only one piece of the puzzle. The bigger piece, the internalized emotional programming that shaped your self-worth. When you start to see the roots of this powerlessness, not as a personal flaw, but as a pattern, you can begin to untangle it. Because here's the truth, you didn't choose this programming, but you can choose to question it. In the next section, we'll look at what happens when you don't. When you keep believing the lie that you must stay small, nice, selfless, and silent. We'll explore the consequences of staying stuck, and why doing nothing may cost you more than you realize. Because awareness is powerful, but action changes everything. The unseen consequences, you think it's just a bad week. You tell yourself you're just tired, that it'll pass, that you should be grateful. After all, others have it worse. But beneath that tiredness is something far more insidious. A slow emotional erosion that chips away at your sense of self, day by day, choice by choice. This is what happens when midlife powerlessness goes unchallenged. You begin to second-guess everything. Not just the big decisions, career, relationships, purpose, but the small ones too. What to wear, what to say, what to eat. Every choice feels heavier than it should, because every choice feels like it might be wrong. You no longer trust your inner compass. This is decision fatigue, but it's more than mental exhaustion. It's a collapse of self-trust. You find yourself apologizing for things that aren't your fault, over-explaining, dimming your truth. You smile when you want to scream. You stay quiet to keep the peace. You bend because breaking would mean admitting how much you've been holding. And then, without realizing it, you start shrinking, not physically, but emotionally, energetically, spiritually. You don't speak your needs because you're not sure you're allowed to have them. You don't ask for help because you've convinced yourself that coping in silence is strength. You don't prioritize yourself because everyone else seems more important. And slowly, invisibly, you begin to vanish from your own life. This is the hidden cost of midlife mindset traps. And it's not just internal, it leaks into every corner of your life. In relationships, you may become resentful, but unable to express it. You feel misunderstood, unsupported, unseen. But instead of speaking up, you withdraw, because confrontation feels dangerous and asking for more feels selfish. At work, you may start to question your competence, even though nothing external has changed. A minor mistake suddenly feels like a character flaw. You keep quiet in meetings. You fear being found out. You over-prepare, over-function, and override your body's signals in order to keep up the facade. At home, you perform. You perform the role of the capable woman, the organizer, the emotional anchor, the one who keeps it all going, even when something inside you is quietly falling apart. And then there's the inner critic. She gets louder. She tells you you're failing, that you're too emotional, that you're not aging well, that you're not strong enough, smart enough, thin enough, relevant enough. The voice doesn't come from nowhere. It's a culmination of decades of societal messaging, family dynamics, cultural expectations, and perfectionism dressed up as responsibility. In menopause, as hormones fluctuate, this voice can feel even more unrelenting. Why? Because estrogen helps buffer the stress response in the brain. When it declines, your emotional regulation can become more volatile. Your brain is more sensitive to criticism, especially internal criticism. This creates a feedback loop. You feel overwhelmed, you hear the inner critic, you believe her, you feel ashamed, you suppress your needs. The overwhelm increases. And so it continues. Meanwhile, your nervous system remains in a low-grade state of alert. Not full fight or flight, but never truly resting either. Sleep becomes shallow. Focus becomes slippery. Joy becomes harder to access. You're not depressed exactly, but you're not you either. And maybe worst of all, you start to question whether the real you still exists. The vibrant one, the brave one, the woman who used to want more. At Menopause Relief Therapy, we see this every day in the women we support. The loss of self isn't imagined, it's lived. And yet, so many women suffer in silence because no one told them this emotional unraveling has meaning. That it's not the end. It's a powerful invitation to rewrite the script. But if you don't accept that invitation, if you keep performing, keep suppressing, keep pretending, it can deepen into burnout. Not just physical burnout, but soul burnout. That's when you stop dreaming. You stop asking. You stop becoming. And that, perhaps, is the greatest consequence of all. Not the hot flushes, not the memory slips, not the anxiety, but the quiet grief of a woman who once had fire and now only feels fog. But here's what I want you to hear. This fog is not the end. It's the beginning of something else, something powerful. Because when everything collapses, something in you is finally ready to rise. In the next section, we'll explore exactly how to do that. We'll break the patterns that keep you trapped. We'll challenge the beliefs that are no longer yours. And we'll give you the tools to remember the truth. You are never powerless. You are only programmed to forget. Visit the website in the video description for free resources and therapy options rooted in menopause-informed psychological care. You don't have to do this alone. There comes a moment when silence becomes suffocating, when the weight of holding it all together becomes heavier than the fear of letting it fall apart. That moment is your rebellion, and it doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it begins in whispers, a single no whispered instead of another automatic yes, a boundary drawn with shaking hands, a tear shed without apology. The rebellion isn't rage, it's remembrance. It's the moment you stop trying to fix the woman you've become and start listening to the woman you left behind. She's still there, beneath the roles, beneath the coping, beneath the conditioning, and she's ready to rise. So how do you begin to break free from the patterns that keep you stuck in midlife powerlessness? You don't do it by pushing harder. You do it by turning inward, gently, courageously, and with deliberate presence. This is your new mindset strategy. 1. Interrupt the loop. Before anything can change, you must notice the loop you're in. That loop might sound like, I can't do this. It's too late for me. I should be able to handle everything. These thoughts are not facts. They are mental habits, neural grooves worn deep by repetition and emotional conditioning. Start small. When one of these thoughts appears, name it. This is a script, not the truth. Even this moment of awareness begins to create new neural space. This is neuroplasticity in action. 2. Reclaim your emotional landscape. Powerlessness often disguises itself as overfunctioning. You become the caretaker, the planner, the peacekeeper, the emotional anchor. But inside, you're disconnected from your own feelings because they've been shoved down for years. Start reconnecting by asking one radical question. What am I feeling right now that I usually ignore? Don't analyze it. Don't justify it. Just feel it. That sadness you're quick to rationalize, let it speak. That anger you suppress to stay nice, let it burn. That fear you hide under control, let it breathe. This is emotional repatterning, not fixing feelings, but allowing them to move. Your feelings are not the enemy. They are messages. And midlife is when they start banging on the door you used to keep locked. 3. Challenge the role. Scripts ask yourself, who benefits from me feeling powerless? Who told me I had to be the one holding everything together? What would change if I dropped the mask and told the truth? These questions aren't rhetorical, they are revolutionary, because for decades, many women have lived inside scripts written by culture, family, religion, or survival. Scripts that told us good women don't get angry. Mothers always come last. You're valuable if you're useful. Don't be difficult, don't be loud, don't need too much. But now those scripts are cracking, because you are waking up. And waking up means questioning who you've had to become in order to feel safe, loved, or accepted. You don't have to burn your life down to change, but you do have to stop betraying yourself to keep the peace. This is one of the hardest shifts and one of the most liberating. At Menopause Relief Therapy, we help women safely dismantle these outdated roles using menopause-informed CBT, hypnotherapy, and identity-based mindset work. You'll find more in the video description if you're ready for that kind of support. 4. Create a micro-moment of rebellion. Every day. You don't need a dramatic transformation. You need small acts of self-honoring that accumulate. Here's what rebellion looks like in midlife. Taking a walk instead of pushing through one more task. Saying no without an explanation. Sitting with discomfort instead of numbing it. Crying without apologizing. Asking, what do I want? And listening like it matters. Every micro moment of truth is a vote for your freedom. 5. Stop waiting for confidence. Choose self-trust. Instead, confidence is often misunderstood. It's not the loud, polished exterior. It's the quiet, grounded trust that says, even if I don't have all the answers, I trust myself to find the way. And that is the skill midlife invites you to build. Not through perfection, but through presence. Practice self-trust like a muscle. Make one small promise to yourself and keep it. Speak one true sentence you'd usually swallow. Rest when your body says stop. Celebrate one thing you usually dismiss. This isn't self-care in the bubble bath sense. This is self-return. And once you begin that process, even in the smallest ways, something remarkable happens. You stop waiting to be rescued. You stop waiting to be fixed. You stop waiting for permission. You realize, I am the authority in my life. And that's the rebellion. Because when you rewrite your emotional code, reclaim your energy, and remember your voice, you no longer ask, am I enough? You declare, I was never too much. I was never not enough. I was never broken. I was only hidden. In the final section, we'll reveal the ultimate truth behind this midlife transformation. Something no one teaches us, but that every woman needs to know. And if you're ready to go deeper with support, visit the Menopause Relief Therapy website, linked in the description. You don't have to do this alone, but you do get to do it your way. The ultimate truth, the final most powerful realization. Powerlessness is not the absence of strength. It's the presence of stories that made you forget you were strong in the first place. And that's the truth most women discover, not at the beginning of life, but at the middle. Not in the rush of youth, but in the slow undoing that menopause brings. Because menopause doesn't just change your hormones, it changes your relationship with yourself. It strips away the noise. It exposes what's been hidden, sometimes for decades. And in that rawness, something unexpected happens. You start to hear your own voice again. The one that got quiet in your 30s. The one you buried under motherhood, deadlines, caretaking, and being fine. The one that says, I want more. This is not a midlife crisis. This is midlife clarity. It's not always graceful. Sometimes it looks like falling apart. Sometimes it looks like rage or withdrawal or fog. But underneath that, it's rebirth. Not into someone new, but into someone real. That's the ultimate truth. You don't need to become someone else to feel powerful. You need to return to the parts of you that have been waiting to be remembered. And here's something no one teaches us as women. The power you crave isn't out there. It's not in the next diet or the next affirmation or the next productivity hack. It's in the quiet act of coming home to yourself. Power is not a performance, it's a presence. And you already have it. You have it when you say no. You have it when you stop shrinking. You have it when you rest. You have it when you cry in public and refuse to apologize. You have it when you rewrite the story and decide you are no longer waiting for permission to live. And that story, it may start here, in this moment, in this pause, but it does not end here. Because power, once reclaimed, spreads. When you remember who you are, you raise the standard for everyone around you, your children, your partner, your community. You model what it means to be whole, not perfect. You become a lighthouse, not by being unshakable, but by being authentic. And let's be honest, the world doesn't need more perfect women. It needs more real women, rooted women, self-trusting, truth-telling, emotionally free women. You might not feel like that woman today, but she's there. She's underneath the fog. She's underneath the fatigue. She's underneath the programming. And she is waiting for you to stop asking if you're allowed and start becoming who you were always meant to be. Because this is the quiet revolution of midlife. It's not about proving your worth. It's about remembering it. It's not about finding your voice. It's about using the one you've always had. It's not about fixing yourself. It's about freeing yourself. And when you do, everything changes. Your mind becomes your ally. Your body becomes your compass. Your emotions become your teachers. Your past becomes your fuel. Your life, no matter how messy, broken, or uncertain, becomes your canvas. You don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing. willing to listen, willing to question, willing to stop abandoning yourself for the comfort of others, willing to live as if your truth matters, because it does. This is your moment, not someday, not when you feel more confident, not when your to-do list is done. Now. And if you need help walking that path, that's exactly what we're here for. At Menopause Relief Therapy, we offer mindset-first, menopause-informed support to help you reconnect with your emotional clarity, rewire the beliefs that hold you back, and build the inner strength to walk your midlife journey with truth and power. You'll find more details, tools, and ways to work with us in the description below. And before you go, take this with you. You were never powerless. You were never too much. You were never not enough. You were simply overdue for your own return. Now go. Live like you remember.